The Sana manuscript is an early Quranic manuscript that contains many variations from today's Quran, and there is more to the story of this manuscript than meets the eye. It is a palimpsest, and the text we see is not the original text written on that manuscript. Today we're going to highlight yet another damaging early Quranic manuscript known as the Sana manuscript or Sana palimpsest. And with me here, of course, to discuss that is Dr. Jay Smith. Dr. Jay.
Yeah, thank you. And this is the number 6 of the ones that were studied by Altıkılıç and Ekmen Salulu. That's why we're highlighting them, because in this book here, the Mushaf al-Sharif, they highlighted all 6 as being the earliest. They claim that these are the 6 earliest. Mm-hmm. There's another one that we're going to follow after this called the Birmingham Folio that we need to get into, because that also would be credited with being even earlier. Nonetheless, we'll get to that. This one here, the Sana, is probably the most exciting. I like this one the most because it's the most recent one that was discovered. In 1975, they were, the Sana Mosque there in Yemen, they were cleaning out the dome of the mosque, which is quite normal, and they came across a trap door, which is also quite normal. When they opened the trap door, all these manuscripts fell to the ground. Now, that's not surprising. When manuscripts start to get worn out from usage, people using them, they don't burn them, they don't destroy them, they actually just hide them up in domes of mosques, which is quite normal, and then they forget them. In this case, they have forgotten about these. But what was surprising is when they started collecting them, looking at them, they could not read them because a number of these manuscripts didn't have any dots or vowels, right, proving that they were very early. Since they couldn't read them, they asked permission from the Germans. Now, the Germans are the only ones in the world who can read them. Germans being Germans, they always are great linguists. And they asked 3 German scholars from Saarland University in Saarbrücken, which is Western Germany, to fly down. Dr. Bothmer, Dr. Ohling, and particularly Dr. Gerd Puyn, who is considered to be one of the leading scholars in this whole area. They all flew down in 1981 to look at this manuscript. As soon as they saw this manuscript, they quickly asked if they could take pictures of it and put them in microfilms. And they did so because they realized that they had a real treasure trove, because now you have a manuscript that didn't have any dots and vowels. Let me just go ahead and look at the slide here. Here you can see a picture of it. Here is an actual picture of one folio, of the one page of the manuscript. This is the pictures that they took over here. So these are nothing more than facsimiles, okay? Don't get upset. They're not touching or making marks on the real manuscript. These are their pictures. What was interesting is some of the scholars there, the Yemeni scholars, were listening to what they were saying, and they realized that these Germans were actually quite excited because they were seeing lots of variants. They were seeing lots of changes. They were seeing that this did not support the manuscript that we have today, the Quran we have today. And they were saying this, and they said this to the authorities, and the authorities quickly confiscated their microfilms. Wouldn't let them take them back to Germany with them. This was in 1981. Did not release their microfilms until the late 1990s, as I understand. I understand this is what Puyn and a few have said. The only reason they released them, their own microfilms to them, was because the Germans finally allowed some scholars from Yemen to come and have scholarship in Saarland University. So it was a tit for tat. You pay for our scholars, we'll give you your microfilms back. So they really only had chance to look at them in the late 1990s. And I went to visit Dr. Gerd Puyn. I went to his home in the late 1990s. And he then, that's his hand right there. These are my pictures. He then showed me, and he said he wanted me to look at this. Now, he and his wife are the ones who have looked at this more than anybody else.
Yeah.
Elizabeth Puyn and both of them are doctors, and they both can read this. And if you're looking at this, he's pointing to this, and he's saying, see, look at the one on the left there, especially. You can point there, look, see where the yellow mark is? You just point out that yellow mark on that. That yellow mark is the end of a chapter, or the end of a surah, sorry. What above us is Surah 19. What's below it is Surah 22.
So it's not in the right order.
Well, what happened to Surah 20 and 21?
Well,
Surah 20 and 21 on the left side of the page.
Yeah.
But if you look carefully, you'll see there's 2 completely different scripts.
Right.
And so
meaning 2 scribes.
Dr. Puyn was pointing that out to me. So you notice this on the right page is actually 705. On the left side is late 8th century. And there's 60 to 70 years between these two pages, he was telling me, from what they could see just by looking at script analysis. I thought that was fascinating. But then I said, well, what are all these orange marks? If we can see these orange marks and yellow marks? He says, wherever you see an orange mark there, he told me, that's a manuscript variant that he and his wife have found. That means words or phrases that are different in that manuscript from the Quran that we have today, this one that we have here. And he says there's about 1,000 of these. 1,000 of these. I couldn't believe that. Well, that's the first time I'd heard this. This is the late 1990s. So let's look and see what the scholars are saying. And this is what there's Dr. Karl-Heinz Oleg, who is part of this team, said the Quran began to be compiled in the last 2 decades of the 7th century, with other versions continuing until the 9th century. What he meant, why did he say 2 decades of the 7th century? Hold on to that. But he mentioned that these continue on until the 9th century. Gerard Puin says this of this manuscript. There's a picture of Gerard Puin right here, who has done probably the best work on it. He said the oldest parchments and papers of any Quranic manuscript, yet more than, these one is probably the oldest that we have. And he's making that admission. Yet more than half of the text is ambiguous letters which need diacritical marks for understanding. Adding vowels help correct mistakes. Changes in orthography, such as the conventional spelling system of a language, are found in geographical traditional schools. But this Sana manuscript is more interesting than the others because it turns out it is a palimpsest. What do you mean by that?
Well, meaning that the piece of leather from the animal, because it's expensive, sometimes you wash off whatever is written on it and you write another writing on top of it. So that's what a palimpsest mean.
We're going to look at that. That's going to be our next episode. We're going to actually unpack what you just said. So people, they write on an animal skin. They don't like what they've written. They've changed it. New ideas come in. New material comes in. You just wash it off, and then you write over top. And what happens, it's changed. You can't see it at that time. But hundreds of years later, the ink starts to bleed through.
Yeah, the previous layer.
Absolutely. So we're going to look at that and see what has happened. But let's just look at their conclusion. So when we look at all 6 early Quranic manuscripts, what do we find? Number one, that not one of them are from the 7th century. Number one. Now, Oleg said that the lower layer is possibly from the last 2 decades of the 7th century. But we're going to see that's hugely problematic because of that. Secondly, none of them are complete. Not one of them has 114 surahs. Not one of them has 6,236 verses. None of them completely agree with each other. They all have differences. They all certainly have differences with this. The Topkapi has 2,270 differences. The Petropolitanus has 93 differences in just that 26% of the Quran that it has. None of them completely agree with the current 1924 Hafs text. That's true. None of them do. We've been showing that Dan Brubaker has found 4,000 differences in these manuscripts just from his work. And all of them have hundreds and even thousands of subsequent manuscript variants. Thousands in place of the Topkapi. That's probably one that's been studied the most. What we're going to find next spring, it's more than what Altakulic has found. Much more than 2,270, but I'm not permitted to say that yet. So, when was there a complete Quran? This is the million-dollar question that no one is able to answer. What we're going to do, Lex, is we want to look at this Sana palimpsest, unpack it a little bit more, and look at the lower layer and see what we can find out from the scholarship that has been done on it.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, as always. Thank you, everyone, for watching. And stay tuned, of course, until next episode. Until then, have a blessed day. Thank you for watching this video. Be sure to like and subscribe to our channel, CIRA International, and click on the bell so that you receive notifications whenever we publish a new video or go live. I would also like to appeal to you to consider becoming a Patreon patron by clicking the link right below. By doing so, you can give towards the production of these videos. There are also other options for you where you can give to our channel. I thank you from the bottom of my heart.